It's the Chook Man here once again. I'm just going to tell you another little story that the Chook Man suffered and gone through in life. Wrong place at the wrong time, and alcohol once again. Now, alcohol's played a big part in my life. For all you people out there, I was a chronic alcoholic from the age of 13. I used to pinch my foster old man's beer, but I can't go into that too much. But I used to start drinking at age 13, sipping out of the long neck bottle of beer that my foster old man would leave around as he got drunk. He was a no-nonsense man. He didn't have time for me. He didn't like me from the word go. He was very frustrated and angry, and he took it out on me, so I decided to leave that foster home age 13. And by the time I got to 13 and run away, the police put me back in there and said to me, you can either stay here or you can go to the boys' home, which is Turana. Now, don't get them two places mixed up, please. Turana is Turana, and the orphanage is an orphanage. People seem to get them mixed up and say, you done Turana, did you? No, I didn't do Turana. I come from the orphanage next door, but I was lucky the way I was heading in life. I was very lucky I didn't end up in Turana, because age 13, you weren't legally old enough to leave home. Where the government put you, you had to stay there. Whether you were getting bashed or whatever was happening to you, you had to stay there. And to get out of that foster home, there was a couple of rules and regulations I had to go through. One was I had to have my own place, living at someone had a roof over my head somewhere else, and had to have a job. So I started working age 16 in the Australia Post. That's another story in itself. And I have had multiple jobs over my long, from then to now. I have worked. I haven't been a bum, but I have been a bum on the streets of St Kilda years ago because of my circumstances. And I say this respectably, no one deserves to go through what I went through. Unfortunately, I took up the alcohol, I drowned my sorrows, and I didn't give a shit about anyone or anything back in the day. All right, so that's that, and we're going to be talking about another incident that happened to the Chook Man as he was growing up. I started to see a young lady in Flemington, around Flemington, and we had a disagreement. I was drinking at the time. I was very drunk. I was with a so-called mate of mine, and what a mate he turned out to be. He wasn't a mate's asshole, excuse the language, but I'm going to say it how it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know, when you're out and you're with your mates, you're supposed to protect one another and stick up for one another, but this guy didn't. But anyway, that's another story in itself. I was getting to know this young lady, and I was drinking. I was pretty drunk at the time, and wrong place, wrong time again. I went out the front, and I was sitting out on the balcony, and I had a bit of an argument with her, so I went out the front of the balcony, and this balcony was 3 stories high. So you got 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories. I was sitting on the balcony like I'm sitting on this chair, with my legs hanging over that side of the balcony, not the opposite side of me, not that side, but this side. And she come and she pushed me, and I somersaulted off the balcony and landed on my, which side was it? My right side. I've got a metal plate here, I've got a metal plate here, and I've also got metal running down there. I landed on my face. Wrong place, wrong time, alcohol once again, brain injuries once again. Ambulance come and got me, took me back to the hospital once again, to Royal Melbourne. My life's been like this when I was younger. It was like a tornado. Into accidents, out of accidents, and kept leaving. I'm blown away that I'm still living today, actually, through what I've suffered. Getting back to the story, I landed on my face, couldn't get up. I was stuffed once again. All my jaw was smashed in. It was all the bone crumbled into dust, so they couldn't put my jaw back together again. They wired it. They put plates through this side of my face and up here, stitched my face back together. They put like braces on my teeth here, and had to wire them shut with some wire and wire cutters. When I hopped out of the hospital, they gave me some wire cutters in case I spewed, because if you be sick and you spew up into your mouth and you've got your mouth wired shut, you can't do nothing. It's like this. You can't open your mouth to let it go. So what happens to the spew is that you regurgitate it and you choke and you die. That's why they gave me the pliers, just in case. And this is another story in itself with the pliers. Getting back to the story, when they took me to hospital, I stayed into hospital for another 2 years, had big operations on my face, another bad brain injury, had to go to rehabilitation again to learn how to speak and talk and walk again. What I've suffered is really, really bad. You wouldn't read about it in the newspaper. That's how bad it was. Anyway, so I go back to hospital once again, have a big operation. They wire my, fix up all the broken bones, put plates in my face, wire it all shut. And then when I was well enough, they sent me to rehab. I spent many years in rehab, and then went to anger management because my anger was really bad. You'd look at me the wrong way and say, "What are you looking at?" That's how my anger was, and it is still today. If you upset me bad enough, I can still turn into the Tassie Devil, but I try not to. That's not who I am. I'm a happy-go-lucky person that loves life and appreciates life. But if I have to stick up for myself, I will. All right, so getting back to the story, I went from hospital after having that big operation on my right-hand side of my face to rehab. I spent 2 years in rehab going back and forwards, and then I got out of rehab and then I had to go to anger management. Now, wow, what a trip. Now, for all you people out there that don't know what anger management's all about, it's about when you damage your brain, you can't regulate your mood swings, and you can't toe the line, as they say, so your temper gets the better of you. So you go to anger management and you learn one thing, one important thing out there. Anger doesn't control you, you control your anger. And that's all I'm going to say about anger management, because everyone's different with brain injuries, and they learn how to deal with their brain injuries and all their different mood swings, all in different ways. So that's another bad incident, call it what you will. Wrong place, wrong time, alcohol once again, and hasn't learnt from the last accident. Wow, what a head spin with these stories, eh? That's why I like to tell these stories. So you might get something out of it. You might be a chronic alcoholic like myself, and you might be mucking up, and something might twig in your brain, and you might say, "Wow, I better clean up my act." And that's another story in itself, when the Chook man gave up his alcohol and said no more. I come to my senses, believe it or not, and gave up alcohol. I never ever thought I'd have the guts or the courage to give up alcohol, but I was getting myself into a lot of trouble, and it was all to do with the wrong place, wrong time, and alcohol. All right, guys, so that's another interesting story on what the Chook man's gone through, gone back to hospital, gone back to anger management and rehab, and did all that. All right, guys, as I always say, keep out of the sun, be kind to yourself, and try to have a nice day.